International Energy Agency is among the most conservative organizations on the planet. They're predicting a temperature beyond which we've had humans on the planet by 2035. I'm not sure anybody would accuse the International Energy Agency of being any sort of conspiracy theorists or trying to promote an agenda that is beyond the pale. In fact, I think probably they are as conservative in that assessment as they've been with many others. I suspect that humans are a lot like every other organism on the planet in that when they go into overshoot, there is a correction or a crash. For most species, there's a crash. I don't, with the exception of our sentience and our ability to be clever, I don't see a big difference between us and bacteria in Petri dish. When we run out of substrate, we're going to be in real trouble. I suspect all of industrial civilization and all human life on Earth can be removed as a result of climate change. You know, if we go to 3.5 C above baseline rapidly, within the very short period of time predicted by the International Energy Agency, much less going to 5 C or 20 C, there's no way humans survive that. The vast majority of academics never question civilization, much less industrial civilization. They never point out the costs and consequences of the way we live. They don't encourage students to think. Indeed, if my case serves as an example, academics are marginalized and then punished for merely questioning the dominant culture. I don't see that scientists, and especially academic scientists, are in a position that enables them to question the way we live in any significant way. I just don't see that happening. I haven't seen that through my entire career. The monetary cost of the U.S. military exceeds that of the next 15 nations combined. And the U.S. military uses more oil than any other entity on the planet. So that's just the head at this point of a beast. Since Jimmy Carter proclaimed the doctrine that bears his name in early 1980, the United States has claimed ownership of all the world's resources. Securing them has proven quite expensive in terms of fiat currency, the living planet, and human lives. But there's no undoing the horrors of empire, and we keep doubling down. As nearly as I can distinguish, the typical American loves American empire because it gets us those toys, and it gets us those computer screens, and it gets us the ability to play on Facebook and do all the things that we've come to take for granted, even though they haven't been around for very long. What's not to like? Tim Garrett at the University of Utah wrote an excellent paper published in Climatic Change in 2009, and he pointed out that only complete collapse prevents runaway greenhouse. Well, that was 2009. Since then, we've triggered 28 self-reinforcing feedback loops on the climate front. I think it's too late. Civilization requires tremendous violence. Most of the citizenry is willing to have the militaries of the world carry out the violence. We prefer to look the other way, remaining willfully ignorant of the horrors conducted in our names. So I don't see us turning this ship around. I used to think we would. We've triggered too many self-reinforcing feedback loops in the climate front, nearly all of which are irreversible at temporal spans relevant to the human experience. So I think we're done. Quite a long time ago, Aldous Huxley pointed out, quote, "It's rather embarrassing to have given one's entire life to pondering the human predicament, and to find out in the end, one has little more to say than try to be a little kinder." As the literature points out, only collapse of industrial civilization prevents runaway greenhouse. I think that's the best hope for other species. I think that we've already fired the gun, the Gatling gun in our case, that leads to human extinction in the relatively near term. I don't think that means we should give up on other species, however, and habitat for those other species. I think we have a moral imperative to ensure habitat for as many species as we possibly can, instead of driving some 200 species a day to extinction. I know that's not what most people want to hear. They want to hear that we can maintain this way of life forever, or at least maintain habitat for humans for an extended period of time. But as a conservation biologist, I recognized a long time ago that humans, like other organisms, will go extinct. At the time, I just didn't realize that it would be occurring so rapidly. and that I would live to see much of the die-off myself.